All right, everyone. We are here today with the amazing Monique Alvarez, who teaches people how to network like the rich. Hey, Monique.
Hi, Lex. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you are here because I love learning things from you. You amaze me every day with your techniques and knowledge and everything. So let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Let's.
Tell me, just besides what people know you for,
Mm,
network like the rich, tell me a little bit, just in one, two sentences, a little bit for those who don't know you. What do
mm,
they need to know about you?
mm. Other than what I do for a living, you need to know I'm the crunchiest organic mama. I'm a water Nazi, and I love my husband more than I think most people think is possible for marriages and relationships.
Beautiful, beautiful. So for those who don't know you, that's Monique. For those who know you, what do most people close to you know that know about you that most people don't? Is that what you shared, or is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I would say the people close to me know that the most important things for me is if I love you, I cook for you. If I love you, I feed you. If I love you, I take care of you. And if I don't do those things, I don't love you. That's on me.
I love it. It's the food always speaks.
Yes, exactly.
Now tell me, success often comes with sacrifice, or so they say. What are you unwilling to sacrifice, no matter how busy your life gets?
Yeah, I guess it's actually that word that you said right there, because what I have observed is that people, they get this idea that their business or their career, however they make money, actually has to take over the majority of their life. And so this busyness is a hallmark of a lot of successful people. And yet I observed a handful of people who that wasn't the case. They did not let the business and the career take over every minute of every day. And that's kind of how business is. It'll take up as much space and time as you want it to, as you allow it to. And unless you create a line, there is no line. And so, yeah, could you run a business? Could a business take up 24 hours a day? Absolutely. But that's the thing I'm unwilling to do, because the whole point of having a business is that I have a good life. So if I don't have a good life, I don't want the business.
Absolutely. I just finished reading a book from another lady that's going to be a guest, Erin. And in the book, she says, when you hear working a 40-hour week, whether you have a business or work, she says, all I think about is who came up with this shit? Like, why does it have to be 40 hours? And one time I remember on a call, you said that too. You said, where did you get this thing that you have to work 8 hours? That's a worker mindset. You said you can just work when you want to. And I think that was the week when you slept like 14 hours every day. And you said, I slept most of this week and money came in. And I love that. I remember years ago being around very wealthy people who all of them would say, I'm just a very lazy person. And I remember having this disconnect in my mind, like, how are you a lazy person? You made so much. But it was exactly that. They were like, I have to make money work for me because I don't want to do that much work. So that's what you're saying, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. You want to be the most efficient, effective, and if you're used to being an employee, or you watched your parents be employees, or you had examples of where it was the opposite. They had a lot of money, but they also didn't have any time. It's easy to think that that's the only way, but as you know, there's a million ways to make this work.
Yes. So you are someone who, when I look at, I think, okay, she has it all. What does having it all mean to you compared to, let's say, 10 years ago?
Mm, very good question. Most people probably wouldn't believe this, but 10 years ago, I didn't think nearly as big. I was not nearly as ambitious. And also, I didn't have, like, we'll say pre-kids, okay? So my kids are 11 and 12. So pre-kids, like, I just didn't think in the same way. Having kids made me think in a new direction. And not only for like why am I thinking so small? Why am I satisfied with so little? But also what really matters. Because I don't want to be the mom who at the end of my days my kids are like, "Oh yeah, she cared about her business, she didn't care about us. She had clients all over the world, we never saw her." Like that is unacceptable for me. Like I've watched many people do this, whether they're business people or they have been in the corporate world, even pastors, leaders, coaches, teachers. Their kids like them the least of anyone. I don't want to have testimonials and people who love me and my kids don't. And my husband's like, yeah, everyone loved her, we never saw her. That's not okay for me. And so that drives me. So the before kids version and this version, oh man, before, honestly, my definition of success was I didn't have to wake up to an alarm clock. I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to do for money. I didn't have to work with anyone I didn't want to work with. I would say that that was it in a nutshell. Derek and I got to do what we wanted when we wanted. After kids, it was like, oh my goodness, am I living out like why I really came here? Because if I don't model it, my kids, they might do something for 10, 20, 30 years. It's just takes up, fills up the hours, but it's not really why they're here. Having kids is when I really was like, oh my gosh, what is my reason for being here? And I have to walk this out every day. That's now my definition of success.
I smile or laugh because I have a boy, and it's really like before child an identity, and then after child an identity, and then the constant evolution. And what you just said is so powerful, and I love that you shared that because I'm the same way. And sometimes I swear I'm like, am I the crazy one here? Because even today was one of the busiest days I've had in a really long time. And every time I ran out, whether to go to the bathroom or I needed a charger, my kid was like, "Hey, are you done? Can I get a kiss?" And it would have been so easy to just rush by them, be like, "Hold on, I'm busy." And I was like, these are the moments. This is when it really matters. So I love that you shared that because it kind of, in the back of my mind, confirms like, okay, you're doing the right thing. Like, there's time for everything. So
Yes.
with that said, what kind of a woman are you becoming in this season of your life?
Mm, it's interesting because I've been a mom for, 12 years, but I would say I'm really becoming the domesticated version of me. I would say marriage and kids, this was something I really had to adapt for. I'm pretty wild. I could have imagined myself living single, traveling the world, hopping from, little country to unknown little place all of my life. Like that, I know I could have done. So getting married and having kids, it grew me in a way I didn't even know I could grow. And now I'm getting ready to celebrate my 19th wedding anniversary. So 2 decades of being married and about a decade of being a mom. I want it more than anything. I want to have my dad nearby. I want to have time with my dad. I want to have time with Derek. I want to be with my kids. I have become the thing I said I'd never be. Oh my gosh, a homebody. Like I just that's who I'm becoming. So like I don't care about travel anymore. I don't care about adventure anymore. I don't care about um, spending time with just about anyone. If they're not my dad, my husband, or my kids, I'll see them online on a screen. But like, curling up with them on the couch and having little sleepovers in their room and taking them to the beach and having meals together, it's literally the only thing I care about.
Yeah, I get that. So hard. I'm a homebody because to me, when you're creating this life, right? Like we're here to create this freedom. Like for me, the biggest driver is freedom. And I think what you're talking about is exactly that, right? Like who do I want to spend time or invest time with? Who do I want to see, talk with? Where am I sharing my energy? And it just becomes even, yes, with a child or children, it becomes more apparent. But I think even as we grow older, right? Like in 20s, we're still trying to like be, liked and all of that. In 30s, you're starting to kind of get it together. Like, what am I? doing here? And then in 40s, you're like, I am not interested in spending time with anything that doesn't serve me well. And we kind of grow into that person that demands certain things, and we learn to be okay with that. I think there's also a learning curve to that, right? Because of the whole societal, you're a woman, you need to cater to everyone kind of a thing. And I love that you're speaking of that, because that's the real wealth to me, is you're building a business and you have this depth in your relationships in everything that you do. And that's what you're talking about too. You're like, when I work hard. When I sleep hard. You know, when I'm offline, I'm offline. You will not find me online. And I'm learning from that, because it's like, it's tempting to bleed into one and another thing. And for you, it's like, this is a clear category. This is what I'm doing right now. And I love that, because it's not diluted energy. Love
So
that.
true. Like this weekend, we went to Tampa and we went to a water park. We're a big water park people. This is like my boy's favorite thing, right? And so, the phones were in the truck and we went on every ride there was to go on, and ended with the freakiest one of all. And it was just like, when we go all in, like we're all in on the water park. Like we're like 10-year-old kids running around. And yeah, and then when we're working, it's like I'm so focused. I'm ticking off to-do lists, I'm making money, I'm doing the things. I don't What I realized is that, like, on the one hand, women are really good at multitasking. Like we can hold a baby and make dinner and talk on the phone. But what I learned is that if I have really focused time, I mean, I started this actually because of the kids. I'd set a timer on my phone, and like I do DMs for 20 minutes. I do a post everywhere for 20 minutes. I do work in 30 minutes, or I'd go take, a 2-hour nap. Like whatever it is I'm doing it with all of my heart. And when I finish, like I literally complete the segment. I learned this from Abraham Hicks, like segment intending. I'm finished taking a nap. I'm going to lay here for 2 minutes. I'm going to create a bridge. I'm getting ready to go into this thing. What does this thing require of me? Okay, now I'm transferring into this. Now I'm fully here. And now I'm
Yeah.
complete with this.
I love that. I think I heard John Assaraf talk about that as intention. Like, don't do anything without the full intention. He says, even before I call my sons, I'll go, what is my intention with this phone call? And that's what you're talking about, right? Like, getting into that depth. Like, what am I doing? Everything else is not important right now. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you've been able to be so successful and so energized at all times. Now, I'm sure you're told all the time that you look younger than your age, right? Whatever that means, we just look a certain way. But what do you think contributes to that the most? Because when people say you look younger than your age, I don't honestly think that it's just physical, because the way I know our body works is we have the chronological age and then we have the biological age. So when people say you look younger than your age, to me that means your biological age is smaller than your chronological age. So what do you think contributes to that the most in your life?
I would say two things: what I put in my mouth every day and who I married. I believe that women age really well when they marry the right man, and they do not age well when they marry the wrong one.
That is, yes, I think about that. And lately, that's been a message for me. Now, my husband is like the most supportive person. I actually know him from grade school, from middle school. It was always him, like the most supportive person. And lately, I've been hearing that. I asked him, so what would you rate our relationship from 1 to 10? And he said a 9. And I was like, 8 or a 9. I said, well, what would it take it to get to a 10? So we talked about that. And lately, I see a lot of these messages about marriages. And I was like, okay, now that you said it, there it is again. Because I think that people back in the day did the whole like woman can't do things, right? Well, then women rose and started lifting themselves up. And then there's this gap of like women not finding the right partners, or men being confused as to who they are anymore, because, there's so much that we now want or demand because we can. And now, when a woman meets who's driven, like you are, like driven, ambitious, when you meet that partner that complements that, whether it's he's pushing you to be that, whether he's side by side, I think that surely something magical happens. And I know you talk about Derek a lot, which talks about the depth of your marriage. Once again, there's always that word depth, right? Like you're doing things to be here, to be present, and not just to, wish-wash it. That's interesting. So you would say nutrition and who you marry. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it's what you put in your mouth 3 times a day, or for some people more, that's hard to overcome. If it's not good stuff, it's hard to overcome with anything else. Like I don't personally believe that the cosmetic exterior side can overcome a bad diet. So I choose not to use chemicals to dye my hair. I use henna. I choose not to do Botox. I use castor oil and shea butter and vegetable glycerin, right? Like I have things that I choose, but I think even if I chose plastic surgery and Botox and hair dye and acrylic nails, I can't overcome what I put in my mouth every day. Like it's just really, really hard to choose the wrong food and still look and feel youthful and energetic and alive.
I appreciate that you said that because I think many people need to hear that. And when I work with my clients on this, I'll tell them, like, computers work in zeros and ones, and that's the information that they get. And everything we have here is actually zeros and ones. Everything we put in our mouth, every bite is a zero or a one, and it's giving information to our body as to what to do with it. And I've seen it, like, and I'm sure you've seen it too with your clients, where if they're off sugar, it's a different person than when they're on sugar. And I am at a level where I notice every little detail on how it affects me. And that's when I teach people, I'm like, you in the beginning, you may not even notice that, or your taste buds haven't changed. Like you said, it's hard to just switch, right? But there is a way to do it in such a way because we have to go to what drives a person. For example, people like us, like I love the word discipline. Didn't you have a post the other day about discipline?
I love
I
discipline.
love discipline, and that in my identity drives me. So you can put my favorite cheesecake in front of me, and I'm like, no, I'm not eating that again. Like it's not serving me. And even today, and you can confirm if you do the same thing, but I had a busy day and my husband's like, you didn't eat all day. I said, well, I have this thing and the next thing and the next thing. I said, I'm not going to mess around with a protein shake, with milk, with meat that I haven't had. Like, I need to be on point. I can't have anything slow me down. Do you do the same thing?
Exactly the same. I mean, I did a post and said, I'm on my way out for my 3 mile sweaty walk, ended up going 4 miles because I know if I don't move in the morning, right, no matter what else I have in the day, like it's not good. I have too, I, this is going to shock some people. I have too much energy. My brain goes too fast. If I don't move it through my body, trust me, none of you are going to like it, right? And anyone who's in my DMs, they're going to get like a drill sergeant on the other end. And by the way, I don't do coffee and caffeine and all of that, but it's like I know that's important. And same thing. Yeah, it's like no, I'm not messing around. Like um a week or a week and a half ago, my boys had got sick when my dad was here. I get them better. And then I think it was maybe last Thursday, I almost lost my voice and I knew that we were going to be doing this. And I'm like, oh no, no, no. I'm like driving to my favorite juice bar. I'm having the ginger shots, turmeric shots. I'm doing this like 3 times a day. I'm going to bed. I took naps every day. Like, no. And here's the thing is some people, they have a busy schedule and they're like, oh, I'll just grab, a bag of chips and a handful of Oreos and a Diet Coke and a Red Bull. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that's like the worst thing to do to yourself when you already know that you're back to back. We all have days that are like more intense or more full than others. And I'm like you, like, no, I'm not going to make a wrong decision on that because it's going to impact my performance and the way I show up. And yeah, I think that nutrition is something that just most people never learned and never taught themselves. And I actually love the 40s because the 40s comes along and goes, yeah, actually, if you keep doing that, you're going to gain weight, you're going to feel like crap, you're not going to be able to function. And so figure it out. And because the thing is we're not meant to go through life running on garbage. Like once you have good fuel, like you said, I mean, your taste buds totally change, your mind changes, your brain changes, your cells change, and it's like, oh, thank you for
Yeah.
feeding me something I know what to do with, you know?
Yes. I cannot love this conversation more because again, like people, I think we have been conditioned so much not to understand how much that impacts us. But it's like every single bite, every bite. The other day I made something with cherries and I put a little bit of added sugar, not even much, which I never use, and I put a ton of chia seeds because I'm thinking, okay, fiber slows down the
Right.
absorption of sugar. And I had two bites and I said, okay, no, this is not on the work days. This is not going to happen on work days because it drops my energy just a little bit. So I think it's so important for people to understand people like you operate at a level where one bite of a wrong thing is just not worth it. It's everything is done intentionally,
Oh yeah.
intentionally.
And I love what you just said. I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, let's increase the fiber. But I want to talk about that for a second. Okay, so I know exactly what you're saying because about the time I turned 44, all of a sudden I could immediately feel like an increased, a heightened sensitivity to, oh, this is not what my body wants right now, right? So what I have noticed as well is that what sugar, I mean, anyone who has brain fog, let me tell you how you cure your brain fog. Like, I noticed even the tiniest bit of sugar affects mental clarity, right? The brain fog. Really, what it is the blood sugar spiking, and then the body's dealing with it. And some people, if they're doing this multiple times a day, they're not going to think straight at all, right? And this is like when we forget things like what was I doing and who said this and oh my gosh, I forgot to do that. I can trace it every time to that thing. I actually used to start my morning with tea. I would do like I had so many teas, and like all organic and all the things, and I do rose this and matcha that and all this. I actually stopped drinking tea in the morning because I observed that when I was drinking the tea in the morning, even if I had half a teaspoon of honey in it, first half of my day, I was like not quite that sharp, not as sharp as I want to be, right? So I got rid of the morning tea. No, it's just water. Forget the morning tea. If I want an afternoon tea, if I want to go to bed on chamomile, great. But I just shifted things because I could immediately notice performance. Now, here is the crazy thing. It's kind of like a race car. I love fast cars. I love racing. I love F1. Those cars are worth millions of dollars. They don't put the wrong driver in the seat. They don't put the wrong fuel in it. They don't put the wrong tires. Like, if that car gets serviced, it's serviced in a way that is only appropriate for this type of car. It's not okay for a 30-year-old Toyota and right for like it's not there's no crossover, right? And sadly, most people they're just so used to processed foods and quick fixes that they eat that and they don't even feel what it's doing to their body because this has been the pattern and the habit for so many years. So, and honestly, this is what I do too, Lex. I reset all the time, right? Derek and I were just talking about we do a water fast, and we recently did our longest water fast, but we have been doing reset fasts and cleanses through our whole marriage because all of a sudden you do a cleanse or a fast and you're like, oh, I even acclimated to a little bit more of this or that, right?
Yes. Just for FYI for listeners, don't just jump into fast, okay? There's a
No.
wrong way to do it and there's a right way to do it. If you need more information, come to me because I've been doing fast for a long time and I've done them the wrong way and I've done them the right way and they can really work well. And I think one of the things that I do want to mention based on this conversation, based on what you just said is, obviously I talk to a lot of women over 40 is this mindset thing, right? Like the way we look at nutrition is I need to optimize myself. I need to eat this and not that. And it just clicks, right? When you're making that change, it takes a while. And then when women hit 40, I feel like they feel this like division between how it was and how it's going to be, but they see it in a negative way. They see it as, oh my God, I'm not reacting the same way and I get more tired. And I'll go, see it as an upgrade. Just like what you said earlier, something to the effect of that. See it as an upgrade. This is where your body's been whispering. It's been whispering through your 20s, louder in the 30s, and now in the 40s, it's like, if you don't hear me right now, it's going to be really bad. And that's where it's kind of like we're forced to kind of stop and reiterate, to reset. And so to me, it's not a bad thing. When people say, I don't know, I'm lactose intolerant or gluten sensitive, I'm like, cool. Like, you don't even have a choice. You can't eat crap, right? Like, they just
Right.
see it
Can't
as
do
a
it.
good thing, right? Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing right there. So I love
So,
that.
so true. And this is what I will say is no one wants to hear this, but the more your body starts complaining and the more you feel like restricted or deprived, really what it is it's just showing you how far away from the path of like real food, real support, real nutrition, real rest, real energy you've gone. Okay, so it's just information, it's just data. It's just like you're not 1 inch off, you're like half a mile off, okay? And exactly what you said, it actually is a great place to be like, thank you, because if your body wasn't telling you this, you just fall off the cliff and then you for sure get a diagnosis in your 50s or 60s, right? We don't want that because once you go into that territory, you're in totally different territory. And this is the other thing I noticed, Lex, like for me, it confirmed what I knew to be true. Okay, so I never drank in my teens or my 20s. I'd never been drunk in my whole life. But like there were certain occasions, we're living in Italy and our Airbnb host has us over and she serves us wine. Okay, I do the toast, I have one sip, I put it away, right? We're hosting something at our house and somebody brings it and because I lived overseas, I was always mindful of like, okay, I'm going to respect the culture. I'm not going to drink the drink, right? Derek and I both, we got to this point and we were just like, we're never putting even one drink of alcohol in our mouth again. And it's not because it's not like getting on a high horse, right? And I want to say this because there are some people when they talk about this, it's like hard to get where they're coming from. And especially if you haven't been really fine-tuned, right? If you're like, I was raised on like margarine and Velveeta and Doritos and Oreos, like this feels extreme. This feels really strict and crazy. But the thing of it is for me, it's just like, thank God for the 40s that just go like this is poison to your system. I know it's been sold to you as like a fun, delicious, great thing, but it's actually poison, right? There's sadly many things that are marketed to us by the biggest companies on the planet. It's poison for your body. And if you are willing to listen to this and honor it, you can have a good life. That's essentially
Yeah.
what it is.
Oh, it totally is. It's like cigarettes 30 years ago, and they were sold to people as a good idea.
Oh my
And
gosh,
yeah, right? Isn't
women
that the
were
same
smoking
thing?
cigarettes when they were pregnant.
They do that in Europe.
Oh,
It's
it's
still
right.
normalized. Yeah, and that's the thing is, we have to get out of that subconscious behavior and step into conscious behavior and choose for ourselves. And the right thing is often not the easiest thing. So, with this conversation about 40s and 50s and on, what is the advice that you would give women that are afraid of getting older?
Mm, this is good. This is good. Being afraid of getting older, like, I mean, just listen to that phrase, right? It's like, what are we afraid of? Like, because every day we're a day older, every year we're a year older. Are we afraid of getting older? Or what are we actually afraid of? And here's the thing, I understand it's harder on women than it is on men. Men get older and we're like, oh, they're more handsome and distinguished. We don't care about wrinkles and gray hair and a lot of things for men. And for women, we're judged more harshly. But this is the thing that I had to look at, Lex. And truthfully, I had to look at this about age 45. So about 4 years ago, I had to sit down with myself and go, okay, so what is your take on this, Monique? Because this is going to determine like the second half of your life. If you're afraid of getting older, you're screwed. That's all I'm going to say. You're in a no-win proposition because you're going to get older. Hate to break it to you, right? And if that's the way I'm going to view it, then I'm not going to enjoy the next half of my life. I'm going to be miserable and I'm going to be doing things I don't want to do to try to prevent something that's inevitable. So I thought about it and I confronted the vanity side of it and I confronted what I really wanted. What I really want, because I had babies older, right? What I really want is to be at the water park until my kids don't want to go to the water park. I had no problem walking 10 miles across that whole giant thing, going up 4 million stairs, carrying my own raft, like, right? That's what I want. What do I want? I want to be able to have no pain. I want to be able to have real energy, not forced energy. I want to be able to be sharp as a tack, be a smart aleck, be a businesswoman, make money, know how to read and count and do crosswords till the day I die. That's what I want. So is it youth that I'm hanging on to? And so this was the distinction I made, Lex, is if I want to hang on to youth, if I want to hang on to who I was at 26, why? And you know what I realized is I don't want to hang on to her. I love her and I appreciate her. I love those pictures and oh my gosh, all the things were so perfect and she was just so alive and optimistic. But I like who I am now. And is my hair going to change? Is my face going to change? Am I going to get wrinkles? Am I going to visibly age? I absolutely am. But here's what I decided is that I was not going to be afraid of getting old. I was going to choose living. I was going to choose life-giving foods, life-giving activities, life-giving relationships. And then whatever it was, let the chips fall from there. I'm content. I'm happy. I want a sparkle in my eyes. I want a fire in my bones. I want passion in my heart. And the rest of it, I'm okay to not have youth all the days of my life, but I'm not okay not having those.
What I'm hearing again is depth. You're going for depth, not the shallow. So you mentioned energy a few times. How do you protect your energy?
I mean, truthfully, number one thing, if you want more energy, don't eat stuff that takes your energy. That's the number one way people give up their energy. It's crazy, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, don't be around people you can't stand, right? Don't do things out of obligation. But the number one way that people have no energy is what they eat and drink multiple times a day. Yeah. And I will say this, I'm very strict with my bedtime, but it's easy for me. So I can't even say I'm disciplined with it. I was the kid that like I put myself to bed at 8 o'clock every night, right? I still put myself to bed early. Um, so I sleep. I sleep a lot. And I talk about this a lot. I sleep a lot, but sugar, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, uh, ingredients that you have no idea what it is, food that is fine for 17 years on the shelf. That stuff's going to take your energy. It's not going to, you put it in your mouth, it's not going to give you energy. It's literally going to go inside your body and it's going to yank all your good energy and it's going to pull it out. So if you think about that, like maybe that will think twice, right? Everyone who's drinking a Red Bull in the afternoon and a second Starbucks and all the things, like you might as well just be like, take all my energy. It's counterintuitive because it's like, no, it gives me a burst. It gives you a burst and then it crashes you. Like it'll crash you hard. So yeah, energy comes through, it actually comes through omitting things.
Yeah, I like that. It's back to the basics. Every time I work with a new client, I'm like, all right, let's look at your sleep, let's look at nutrition, let's look at your environment. Like it's back to basics. And then we start tweaking from there because there is no way around it. And the shortcut is very expensive and it never takes you to the place you were originally wanting to go. And that's when I tell women, I'm like, if you're on the second or third cup of coffee, I had a client who was on the fourth. I'm like, why are we at four cup of coffee? So she said, well, that's how much my coffee maker makes. And I said, Okay, so at which point do you stop enjoying it? She said, right around the second one. I said, all right, well, we're going for that, right? We're not going to go through the whole scarcity of that's all the coffee there is. I have to get everything out of it. So let's start actually enjoying it. And then people reduce from there. And I'm the same way. I don't do coffee. I can be high energy like anytime, any place. I don't like hanging out with people who are tired. I'm like, don't yawn in front of me. I want my energy on point. But you're right, it's always back to basics. So let's talk about those things that you do, those habits. What habits would you say made the biggest difference in how you feel physically?
Mm. So the things I do every single day without fail is I get plenty of sleep. Yeah. And you have to know how much sleep you need. And if this is a personal thing for me, like I need about 9 hours. And I also take a nap most days. Yeah. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes. The other day I took a 2 hour nap. It depends on what else I've got going on, how many decisions I'm making, how much mental work I'm doing, you know? Mental work, I sleep more. When I'm laying out, like I laid out about a week ago, a huge strategy that we're rolling out next, like my brain was like, I have to go sleep and let that gel. So sleep is a big one. Water, I can't talk about water enough. It blows my mind, the water thing. I drink a lot of water and I do some coconut water, pinch of salt, cream of tartar, that kind of stuff. So water, sleep, and of course food. So I'm blood type O, and this was the kind of kid I was, right? I read Eat Right for Your Blood Type like when I was like 17 years old, right? So like food for me is very easy. It's like fruits, vegetables, and protein, right? It's like that's that's the gist of it. Before I got on here with you, if you want to know what we had for breakfast, and my kids fight over it because this is the only way they know how to eat, I made a giant arugula salad. I put roasted onion and sweet potatoes on the top. I sliced up 3 avocados, drizzled it with olive oil and a squeeze of lemon, and that was our breakfast. You know? So it's like real food. I always like I have to feed and water myself and I have to sleep.
Yes, yes. That is one of the biggest mindset shifts I have to have with my clients. Because when women come to me, they'll go, oh, I sleep okay. I'm like, okay, rated from 1 to 10. They'll say 5 or 6. I'm like, okay, that's probably a 2, maybe a 3, because women are taught to say I have a high pain
Better.
threshold and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. And then when we determine, because I usually have a tracker for them for sleep, they'll be like, I can't sleep that much. I'm like, yeah, that's what your body is telling you to. And it's this mindset shift that has to happen to allow ourselves to actually sleep because of the whole hustle culture of you're lazy if you're sleeping, right?
Oh, okay,
That's a whole
let's talk
another
about
thing.
that. I actually
Yeah,
think you're spot on. I think actually most women do not sleep as long as they need to because they think they won't get everything done in the day. And I'm like, no, you don't get anything really done in the day because you don't sleep good at night.
I love it. Yes,
And
yes, this,
right?
this.
And then if you wake up, you have 3 cups of coffee, and then you throw in a diet soda, and then you throw in another coffee or a Red Bull or something in the afternoon. Here's why you can't get everything done in the day because your brain is not clocking right. It's impossible for us even to know what activities to prioritize. It's like, who's coming up with this plan? Like the sleep deprived, got fake sugar on the brain, blood sugar is spiking, dipping. There's not any fat on the brain. There's no real food on the brain. That person's running the business and making all the decisions about what's money making activities, about what's productive, efficient. That's the real problem. People go, oh, Monique, there's just not enough time in the day. And I go, no, no, there's plenty of time in the day. And I'm going to tell you how I know. Because our great grandmas, they were like making all of their 12 kids' clothes. They were making every meal from scratch. Like they were hauling water, right? Like they were doing things that take an insane amount of time, very, very time consuming. It's not that there's not enough hours in the day, it's that the person who's in charge of the day is not thinking straight.
110%. Because again, when you're sharp, what takes you 10 minutes when you're running on Red Bull and all that other BS and not sleeping well because society told you need to sleep 6 hours, it will take you a day and a half and you will feel like there's not enough hours. Another thing I noticed with time, when I try to rush, time goes faster. If I slow down, I will actually get more. I look at the time, I'm like, oh, it's only 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, good, right? And I even have this thing, if time seems to be going a little faster, I'll go, time, slow down. And I kid you not, just like that, it just slows down because time is perceived by the person looking at the time, right? It's completely different for you than it is for me, than it is for someone else. And one quick note back to your arugula salad, when people who are listening who are like, oh my God, I could never do that for breakfast. You don't do that. You'll find what works for you. For example, for me, it's eggs for breakfast. And that's where people will come to me too, and then like, just tell me what I need to do. And I'm like, I can to a certain point, but there's a lot of testing we need to do with your body. But once you know and you run with that, yes, you have more than enough time in the day. You have your sharpness back. You don't have brain fog. But I think, again, it's this whole societal thing where it's really easy to fall into the trap of this is 40s. And honestly, I know I had thyroid issue. I had all kinds of lethargic issues when I was in my 30s and, dismissed by doctors, all of that story. But what helped me in that is learning about the body, learning about what works for me, and learning how to never get back there. But I will say this, when someone's feeling tired, they can be driven, ambitious, running on grit, running on stubbornness. When you feel tired long enough, it starts messing with your head to lose your ambition. And I hate to say it,
Always true.
but when you're that tired, it messes with your ambition. And it's like,
100%.
You have a choice. Are you going to become that person that is here for whatever reason unknown? Or are you going to go back to your ambition, your grit, your energy, yourself? Because 40s will reveal it.
100%. And Lex, what I think goes right along with that is your confidence. Okay, so this is, because everyone around us is the same age, right? This is what I've observed is that when you are not getting enough sleep, when you're sleep deprived, and this is over time, right? This isn't like had one bad night, the kids were sick, or we flew in from whatever, but I mean, over an extended period of time, sleep deprivation is real. And what I have noticed is that you second guess yourself, like the confidence dips and like, oh, should I do that? And you got to really think about like, should I be going for it in that way? Because inside, you ain't got it. Like there's nowhere else to pull from when you're that tired. And for me, it's like, it's heartbreaking because when women who are second guessing themselves are second guessing themselves, and it's not because they don't have, they can do it with their eyes closed. They're second guessing themselves because they don't feel good. They're tired and they are not recharging. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done this. So I've plugged my phone in at night and I didn't pay attention to if that little, thunderbolt came on and it was not plugged in properly. So then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, how is my battery at 52%? I plugged it in last night. This is true for a lot of people. They go to bed and they wake up and they're still at 52%. And they're like, I just woke up and I'm tired, right? You're not going to make the same decisions. You're not going to take risks in the same way. You're not going to go for it. You're not going to like really present yourself in the same way. And that's a shame. And I think this is why either women go, oh, this is just 40s, or they're like, I think my best days are behind me. Because all of a sudden these realizations start setting in.
Yeah, 40s reveal it for sure. But I do remember I used to be so tired because, again, hormonal and thyroid issues. And I remember like you use the little brain energy that you have left, you use it to plan on how you are going to function. And I've been there. It is not the way to do it. Like I got myself back and now I feel like I have more energy now than I had in my 20s. I don't even know if that's true or not, but I feel like it. I just feel like
Yes.
I got energy for days, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I know how tired feels, and it is not it. It's like no matter where you are right now, you're listening to this, like I promise you can get better.
Well, and I, I
It's
want
a
to talk
big
about thyroid,
difference.
Lex, because if anyone has a thyroid issue, I want you to connect with Lex. So, Lex, about thyroid. So, every woman in my family has had thyroid issues, except for me. Okay. Now, I would observe this, and I know what tired looks like because I would observe it. Like it's a hit a wall, nothing's gonna budge, tired. And a lot. I appreciate the medical field for emergency care, but it's like not my path. And there's always this conversation of like, well, it runs in my family, which I think is a load of shit, right? No, it runs in your family habits and mindsets and traditions. That's where it runs. And so I remember I was about how old I came back from Albania on a little visit. So I was probably like 22, 23 years old. And my grandma had had thyroid issues. My mom was diagnosed at that time with a thyroid issue. And I remember watching my mom who like ran circles around everyone like a toddler who napped face down on the floor. And I remember making a decision right then and there like this is not happening to me. And I didn't know a lot about thyroid issues at that time, but I began to educate myself on it. And what I want to say to people who like if you're there, this is your woman, but if you've ever thought like everyone in my family gets breast cancer, or everyone in my family gets yada yada, this is not your fate. One of the things I can tell you is this is like it's one thing to be like a lot of people in my family has this. It's another thing that your lifestyle pulls the trigger on it. Lifestyle is the make or break. Just because everyone chose a lifestyle that didn't, work, it wasn't great with it, doesn't mean you have to. And also, this is what the key is when you decide that you're going to be healthy, when disease and when decline is not an option for you, you begin to educate yourself, you begin to make choices, you begin to find other people who live in a similar way. And all of a sudden, you realize that everybody has their own unique experience based on everything we're talking about today. Like every 45-year-old isn't the same height, isn't the same weight, doesn't have the same level of energy, doesn't have the same level of health. Like this is an insanely individual game. You do not want to put yourself with your clan, with your family, with your tribe when it comes to the bad stuff. Like, pull yourself away from that and make the choice like, no, no, I'm stopping this. And no one ever again is going to say, like, this runs in our family. Because that is how powerful your habits are.
The body listens. I tell people all the time, I got stories like that forever. Like I healed my back in one night through a meditation because I said that with conviction. I said, I'm done living like this. I'm done living with back pain. Thyroid, when you talk about tired, when I went to the doctor, this is a story I told him. I said, I could not take things out of a washer to put them in a dryer because I thought that takes too much energy. And I caught that thought. And that's the first thought I caught. God knows how many thoughts I had. And I was in fitness. I knew better. And he said, that was 32 or 33. He said, well, that's the difference between 20s and 30s. It's like
Wow.
washer and dryer.
Wash.
So finally, after a few doctors, I found one who listened, but it wasn't enough for me because he put me on medication. I had to take thyroid medication, I had to take hormonal medication. And again, there's a time and place for everything, but medication is a bridge until we do other things. And that's the same thing. I started educating myself on thyroid, and I don't do this if you're watching this. I took myself slowly off the medication. Don't do it. It should not be done. Anyway, I did it because I'm my own guinea pig. And same thing when people are like, well, I have thyroid issues. I'm like, listen, you do not have to have them. I don't have anything to do with that anymore. But there are things that we need to know. There are things that we need to know in our physical world, in our, like, how we are emotionally, how we are mentally. Everything has to do, and everything's connected, right? Like you said, what we eat and the sleep, all of that is connected. And we have to ideally take these 40s to say, I have a whole lot more to go
A lot
and
more to go.
choose not to actually slow down because the body will slow us down if we keep doing what we've been doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want every woman who watches this to go, my best years are not behind me. They're not.
Yeah.
I choose to make my best years ahead of me. I choose to make myself better, right? And this is the thing too. I think when we're younger, we just think like health is just inevitable. Like when you have your youth, you have your health. And the blessing of the 40s is you go, no, 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 no. You can have health, but you got to choose it every day. You got to show up and do the right thing and make the right decision, and then it's yours. You don't make the right decision, it ain't yours. There's no gimmies anymore. You get what you give, and that's the way the game is played from this day forward.
And it doesn't take long for the body to show you you have made the wrong choice
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the 40s. So do you believe that health and wealth are connected and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually worked with people who would be like, I don't have time to take a nap. I don't have time to take the weekend off. I don't have time to cook a meal. I don't have time to, lay on my back and do nothing for 20 minutes. And then they'll get a diagnosis. And guess what? They suddenly have all the time in the freaking world. That business comes to a screeching halt. They're not working with anyone. They're not doing anything. They're not taking care of their kids. They're not taking care of their family. And this is the thing is if you lose your health, your wealth is worthless. It's worthless because
Yeah.
you ain't got nothing if you get sick. You get a diagnosis, your belly up, you have nothing in this world. And that's what illness teaches us. Like it humbles us and levels us fast. So yeah, they go hand in hand. If you're building wealth and you ain't building health, you are not a wise woman. You
Yeah.
might be a dedicated woman, you might be a talented woman, you might be a successful woman, but you are not a wise woman. They got to be built side by side.
And what is it all for
What's it all
if you're
for?
not taking care?
I mean, seriously, what's it all for? You get one, I mean, it's insane, like the traditional way, what it costs to treat disease. Like it's hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Like I know someone um, a chiropractor that was recently diagnosed, similar thing, right? Wouldn't take time off, wouldn't slow down. Also, it's so easy for those practitioners to get in this like, if I can help people, I should. So I should just work a million hours, right? Got a diagnosis. The treatment cost $1.2 million. Dollars. The business was shut down the entire time of treatment. And it's like,
Yeah.
was it really too hard to take some time off? Was it really too hard to apply the same medicine you give to others to yourself? No.
I actually know a doctor who was multimillionaire who got diagnosed with cancer and the treatments were so expensive that he lost his wife now he has passed away unfortunately. His wife now can't even afford $100 extra for herself. Like she has to watch every single penny. And it's like, damn it, like what was it for? And it just, I hope that people are listening to this and going, that I don't want that. I want something different. And that's really that's all you need to do is make a decision. I love that. Okay, let's shift a little bit to the community that you've built, because you've built an amazing, a powerful community. So tell me, in your community, what are people craving for right now?
There's this desire for connection, but honestly, Lex, what I think is deeper than that is I think people want to be recognized. I think that people want to be recognized for who they are, the craft that they've honed, for the time and dedication they put into something. Like, look who I've become, look what I've built, look at what I know, look at what I can do. And it's very interesting because the 40s is almost like back to kindergarten. So, like in kindergarten here in the United States, it's almost like show and tell. Like, you bring your little lunchbox to school, like, this is this, my grandma gave me this for my birthday, and it's a beautiful bracelet, and I like it because my grandma gave it to me. And then you pass it around the room, and like everyone gets to see your thing. And in the 40s, because we get this, like, estrogen shifts, okay? And all of a sudden confidence wavers and this evaluation and this taking stock and inventory and this reflection. It's almost like back to show and tell. Like we just want people to know like who we are and what we have and what we've done. And there is part of it that we need, especially women in this time, this age, like we need someone to go, I get it. I see how much you put into this. Like I see how much you've grown. I see all of the years that you poured into this. Well done. Well done. And that is what I see in communities. Like we just need someone to pause and go, I heard you. I noticed. I get it.
I think again, it's going for the depth. That's again what I'm hearing, at least, is the depth, not shallow stuff. So, what is a conversation that you would say your audience needs to hear more often?
The conversation that I want people to have more often is talk about when you shift your priorities. Talk about when you shift your schedule. Talk about when you shift things based on what you now value. Because this is a season where things are in flux. They're not static, they're not set. We're going through our 40s and 50s and we're negotiating, we're reevaluating, we're deciding, right? So it's constantly like we get new ahas and new revelations every day. Let that be the conversation. Don't let it be like, well, you have to have it all figured out. And if you don't have it all figured out, then you're not part of the cool kids club, right? Let the conversation be actually, no, we're figuring it out. And here's something I figured out today. What are you figuring out today?
What am I figuring out today?
Lex, okay, Lex, now I'm going to flip it around to you. What are you figuring out today?
What am I figuring out today? I'm figuring out that you have to always be aware of your fears
Mm,
and move even when you feel them. And I'm someone who considered myself like I move through fears, but I like to have someone like you in my corner who tells me where my blind spots are. You can be like, you know what, Lex? You've been fearing that. Step into that. And I do. It's just like, and I think that it goes back to the recognition you just said, because that is recognizing me for who I am and seeing me in that light, right? And I think that that's what us coaches do for our clients. We see them where they're already going to be. It's just
yeah.
the journey of helping them get there. And that's one of the things you did for me and are doing for me is helping me see those moments and face that. So I think it does fall into the whole recognition thing. I would have never identified it as that, I will say.
Mm.
Interesting. Very interesting. I love the community you build. I love everything about it. So is there something exciting that you would want to share that you're building right now that you'd love for people to hear about?
Mm. Yeah, so kind of a little behind the scenes peek. I'm horrible at keeping secrets anyway, so I'm happy to spill all my secrets. So I'm like a toddler. Um, so one of the things that I wanted to do within the community, I love leading. I have no problem leading. But also for me, the point of a community is that there's many people who are highlighted and who get the sunshine on their face and they get the spotlight. And so we are rolling out actually this week, Rich Mixer VIP, which we're gonna start off with 21 leaders who get to be recognized within the bigger community. And, they're going to be people I'll go do side by side lives with and email my list for and figure out how do we strategize so that you get featured as the one and only. And there's only one person per category and industry. And then that group will evolve into my power partners, into the people who a step further is, okay, how do we really integrate our businesses? You remain owner of yours, I remain owner of mine, but how do we integrate our programs and our values and our businesses even more so that there's a group of people who are served by you and me in a unique way that has not existed before right now?
Wow, that is, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Closing up, what would you like every ambitious woman out there to understand before she spends years chasing achievement?
Here's the thing. The thing I think about often, it might sound morbid, is my funeral. At your funeral, what do you want the people you love most to say about you? Write it down and then live your life in accordance with that. Because if you forget that our days here are numbered, if you forget the people who you love the most and who love you the most, and if you go chasing something blindly, you can miss the point. And if you love people and people love you, take care of yourself. It's like the worst thing I could do for my children is not take care of myself, and then they have to take care of me. Then I become their burden instead of their supporter. So I like to keep the end in mind. What do I want them to say at my funeral?
And again, that goes to what drives you, right? I know someone who does the funeral speech, she has it written out, and it drives her. To me, it's my son. Like, what am I leaving behind? And I know, you're funny about the word legacy, and I am too, because to me, that's it. Like, have I made this world a little better place, right? And to me, that's what drives me every day. And I think for a lot of moms, that's one of the things. But when we're tired, it's easy to forget, because when you're tired, you're just trying to make it through this one day. And there is a better way. There really is a better way.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this. I'm so thankful you shared so much of your knowledge, and I'm thankful that you shared. Oh my God, I didn't even know you're going to share exactly what I would hope someone would share on like nutrition and sleep, because it's the basics. So thank you for being here, Monique. Where can people find you if they want to go anywhere further with you?
The best place to connect with me is at networklikeTheRich.com, and I'm usually all over Facebook.
Yes, and I'm tagging you in everything, so people should be able to find you everywhere. For those listeners, if you want to grab my new offer, it's 3 things that top earners do to stay sharp and energized all day so you can stay on top of your game. I'll leave the link in comments shortly after the live ends. I will also leave all the links for Monique alongside that, so you can find this amazing woman. Thank you for being here, Monique, once again. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for everything you're doing for me. I really appreciate having you next to me.
Thank you, Lex. And I'm really glad that you're doing this work, because women who run a business, who have a family, who have all these responsibilities, aspirations, and goals, they need you in their corner, right? So if someone's watching this and they're like, no one taught me this, I had no idea, like I didn't know, like this is your guide. This is your guide. As much as you would dedicate yourself and invest in a business coach or in Facebook ads, invest into this woman, because it's equally important. You cannot have one without the other.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, everybody, we will be announcing the next speaker and date and time soon, so stay tuned.